How are you? I was going to go into chapter 41. Pharaoh, he can interpret dreams. Wouldn't that be something? I'm sure there are people out there that can interpret dreams. But yeah, how Pharaoh isn't placed in charge of Egypt. He's been in prison, being falsely accused. It says 2 full years later, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing on the bank of the Nile River. In his dream, he saw seven fat, healthy cows come up out of the river and begin to graze in the marsh grass. Then he saw 7 more cows come up behind them that were them from the Nile. But these were scrawny and thin. The cows stood beside the fat cows on the riverbank. Then the scrawny, thin cows ate the 7 healthy, fat cows. At this point in the dream, Pharaoh woke up. But he fell asleep again and had a second dream. This time, he saw 7 heads of grain, plump and beautiful, growing on a single stalk. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were shriveled and withered by the east wind. And these thin heads swallowed up the 7 plump, well-formed heads. Then Pharaoh woke up again and realized it was a dream. The next morning, Pharaoh was very disturbed by the dreams, and he called for all the magicians and wise men in Egypt. And that's something called for the Egyptians. No, and that's nothing but, let's say, witchcraft. When Pharaoh told them his dream, not one of them could tell him what they meant. Finally, the king's chief cupbearer spoke up. Today I have remembered of my finally, the king's cupbearer spoke up. Today I have been reminded of my failure. He told Pharaoh, some time ago, you were angry with the chief baker and me, and you imprisoned us in the place of the captain of the guard. One night, the chief baker and I each had a dream, and each dream had its own meaning. There was a young Hebrew man with us in the prison who was a slave of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he told us what each of our dreams meant. And everything happened just as he had predicted. I was restored to my position as cupbearer, and the chief baker was executed and impaled on the pole. I guess I said that right. Pharaoh sent for Joseph at once, and he was quickly brought from the prison. After he shaved and changed his clothes, he went and stood before Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream last night, and no one here can tell me what it means. But I have heard that when you hear about dreams, you can interpret it. It is beyond my power to do this, Joseph replied. But God can tell you what it means and set you at ease. So Pharaoh told Joseph the dreams. In my dreams, he said, I was standing on the bank of the Nile River, and I saw 7 fat, healthy cows come up out of the river and begin to graze in the marsh grass. But then I saw 7 sick-looking cows, scrawny and thin, come up after them. I never seen such sorry-looking animals in all the land of Egypt. These thin, scrawny cows ate the 7 fat cows. But afterward you wouldn't have known it, for they were still thin and scrawny as before. Then I woke up. In the dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and beautiful, growing in a single stalk. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were blighted. These were something shriveled and withered by the east wind, and the shriveled heads swallowed the 7 heads. I told these dreams to the musicians, but no one could tell me what they mean. Pharaoh responded. Both of Pharaoh's dreams meant the same thing. God is telling Pharaoh in advance what he is about to do. The 7 healthy cows. The 7 healthy cows and healthy grain both represent 7 years of prosperity. The 7 thin, scrawny cows that came up later, and the 7 thin head of grain withered by the east wind represent 7 years of famine. This will happen just as I have described it. God was revealed to Pharaoh in advance what he is about to do. The next 7 years will be a period of great prosperity throughout the land of Egypt. But afterwards there will be 7 years of famine, and great that all the prosperity will be forgotten in Egypt. Famine will destroy the land. This famine will be so severe, even the memory of the good years will be erased. But as for having two similar dreams, it means that these events have been decreed by God, and He will soon make them happen. Therefore, Pharaoh should find an intelligent and wise man and put him in charge, and let them collect 1/5 of all the crops during the 7 good years. Have them gathered all the food products in the good years that are just ahead, and bring it to Pharaoh's storehouse. Store it away and guard it so there will be food in the city. That's what there knows. That way there will be enough to eat when the 7 years of famine come to the land of Egypt. Otherwise, this famine will destroy the land. So now Joseph is made ruler over Egypt. Yeah, he's liking what he's saying. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink. All throughout the Bible, God speaks to his people, telling them, what's coming, what's going to happen. He don't leave any of it for us to think that he's trying to, that we're trying to figure out maybe something he didn't say or put in the Bible. But, he is a wonderful, just God, and I am so excited to be his child. I am so blessed to be his child. I don't deserve it. Joseph suggested where will receive by Pharaoh. Joseph's suggestions were well received by Pharaoh and his officials. So Pharaoh asked his officials, can we find anyone else like this man who obviously filled with the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has revealed the meaning of the dreams to you, clearly no one else is as intelligent or wise as you are. You will be in charge of my court, and all my people will take orders from you. Only I, sitting on my throne, will have a rank higher than yours. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the entire land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his hand and placed it on Joseph's finger. Then Pharaoh, he dressed him in fine linen clothing and hung a gold chain around his neck. Then he had Joseph ride in the chariot reserved for his second in command. And wherever Joseph went, the command was shouted, kneel down. So Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of all Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto him, I am Pharaoh, but no one will lift a hand or foot in the entire land of Egypt without approval. Then Pharaoh gave Joseph a new Egyptian name. Here we go. Zephaniah. Phineth. I don't know. Pania. He also gave him a wife whose name was Asenath. She was the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On. So Joseph took charge of the entire land. He was 30 years old when he began to serve in the court of Pharaoh and the king of Egypt. And when Joseph left Pharaoh's presence and inspect the entire land of Egypt, as predicted, the 7 years the land produced bumper crops. I don't know what bumper crops. I don't know what that means. During those years, Joseph gathered all the crops grown in Egypt and stored the grain from the surrounding fields in the city. He pulled and hung amounts. Okay, where did he say? He piled and hung amounts of grain like sand on the seashore. Finally, he stopped keeping record because there were too much to measure. During this time, before the first year of the famine, 2 sons was born to Pharaoh and his wife, Asenath, the daughter of Pharaoh, Potiphar, the priest of On. Joseph's name is okay, let me see here. Sorry. Joseph named his older son Manasseh, for he said, God has made me forget all my troubles and everything to my father. In my father's family. Joseph made his second son Ephraim. I don't know. Those names are hard. We're almost done. For he said, God has made me fruitful in this land of my grief. At least the 7 years of bumper crops throughout the land of Egypt came to an end. Then the 7 years of famine began. Just as Joseph had predicted, the famine also struck all the surrounding countries, but throughout Egypt there were plenty of food. Eventually, however, the famine spread throughout the land of Egypt as well. And when the people cried out to Pharaoh for food, he told them, go to Joseph and do whatever he tells you. So with severe famine everywhere, Joseph opened up the storehouse and distributed grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout the land of Egypt. And the people from all around came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe throughout the world. And that's 41. That was 20 minutes. I wish I read better. I wish that, I don't know. I do read a lot better than I used to. God has really brought me a long way in that. I mean, I'm not even a good speller. I don't know. A lot's changed. Sometimes I just forget what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that has to do with the age of 51 or it happened before then. Like what was it my doctor called it? Brain fog. Yeah, that's what she called it. I call it demonic. Go into the abyss in the name of Jesus Christ. Gosh, I pray you have a good night. It's night here, so I'm assuming it's night there. And I ask you to like and subscribe. There is a day coming that all that's going to take place. And I hope you're part of it. I hope you are. God bless you. God bless you all. Good night.